Hello. We are going to keep working through these 4-2 notes. So if you could get the notes out from 4-2, day 2 cosine, and then we are down here at example 2. Okay. So I'll give you a trig function, and you just have to explain how the graph moves. So let's say I give you y equals 2 sine, and then x minus pi plus 3. Okay, so in order to figure out how it moves, we need to label A, B, H, and K like we have been. So A, B, H, and K. And then just let's quick do a little aside over here. Recap what each of them is. So A is the amplitude. And that kind of tells us how high or how low the graph goes. So remember, it stretched it vertically. So if A is a whole number, it's going to stretch. Okay, and then if A is a fraction, it's going to shrink. Okay, and that should make sense. So remember, 2 is our amplitude, so I go up 2 and down 2. But if we ever have like a half, I think we did that for one of the sine graphs in the beginning. It was squished down. We're only going up a half and down a half, so it kind of squishes it. So fractions shrink it, and then whole numbers will stretch it vertically. And then we have B. So B is kind of a similar situation. If B is a whole number, it's going to shrink. If B is a fraction, actually this is the opposite. So fractions stretch it. If B is fraction, is going to stretch it. So think about the period. If I take, like, let's say 360 for my B and I divide it by a whole number. Yeah, so if I take like 360 and divide it by a whole number, kind of like we had right here, 2 pi divided by a number, that gets me 1/2 pi, so that shrunk that graph down. But if I were to divide by a fraction, which we've seen I think we've seen that already. If we divide by a fraction, the number actually gets bigger for the period. So that's why these are backwards. Okay, I'm actually not going to worry about H for describing the transformations. It gets a little bit complicated. But we will do, we will do H and we will do K. So H is going to move in the opposite direction of the sign. So it's going to move left or right. And it's opposite the sign. So if it's a negative, we'll move positive. If it's a positive, we'll move negative. Okay? And then we have one more. We have K, and K moves the graph up and down. Okay, so we have all those things happening. So, and then we'll pick them all out. So A is 2, which means A is the amplitude. It's a whole number, so it's going to stretch vertically. Okay. B is, there's no number, so it's 1. So when it's 1, there's actually no change. So the length of my period is not changing at all. H is going to be pi. Or H is negative pi. So we're going to move We move opposite, so we move right pi. And then k is positive 3, so we move up 3. Okay, so we just kind of go through, list them all. If there's no change, we'll put no change. Otherwise, it's affecting the graph. So we're essentially kind of analyzing the graph like we would graph it, but I'm just going to state how everything's moving. Okay. So y equals 1/2 cosine of 2x plus 180 minus 4. So try that one on your own, and we can go over that together. All right, a is 1/2, so it's going to shrink it vertically because I'm going to go up 1/2 and down 1/2. B is 2, so when we think of finding the period, I'm dividing the period by 2, so that's why it's shrinking horizontally. So we're going to squish that period in. H is positive 180, so we move opposite of that, which would be left 180 degrees, because it would be a negative. Positive would make it move right, but we move opposite. And then k is negative 4, so I go down 4. Okay, so that's all we do for these. We're just describing the transformations of the graph or how it moves. Okay, so let's look at some other examples. So I want to know the equation of a cosine function with an amplitude of 2 and a period of 2 pi. So if we go back to the equation, y equals a sine of bx minus h plus k. Okay, so amplitude is my a, so I know a is 2, so that's always easy to pick out. But none of these tell me the period. So when we use the period, remember our period formula equals 2 pi over b. So I use b to get what the period is, but none of these numbers explicitly tell me exactly what that period value is. But I know that it's 2 pi, so every time we'll have to take the equation of the period and set it equal to 2 pi, and we can put it over 1, because I need to solve for b. So this one's kind of easy. 2 pi, what number do I take 2 pi and divide it by to get 2 pi? And that's 1, or we can cross multiply. So if I cross multiply, we get 2 pi equals 2 pi b. Okay, because we have 2 pi times 1 and then b times 2 pi. And then I want to solve for b, so I just divide by the 2 pi. And then b is 1. Okay, we don't really ever worry about h or k when we're doing these types. So then if I write my equation, the final answer is y equals, should have wrote cosine up here because it's a cosine function. So a is 2 cosine of 1x, and we don't worry about anything else. Okay, so you're always going to set the period equal to 2 pi over b and put it over 1 to cross multiply to get what b is. Okay, so on your own, try one where the amplitude is 3 and the period is pi. It's also a sine function. Okay, so it's a sine function with amplitude 3 and period pi. So try that one on your own. So I know it's going to be y equals 3 sine, because a is 3. But to do the period, so the period equals 2 pi over b, which equals pi. I can put that over 1. So here I can cross multiply. 2 pi equals pi times b. So I just divide by pi. Those cancel out. So b is 2. So I would have 2x in the parentheses, okay? So we'll always kind of make it a proportion by putting the period over 1. If it's not, sometimes they'll give you the period and it's a fraction, then you have a fraction equal a fraction. That's easy, you can just cross multiply. But just remember the period, we need to solve for b to plug it in the formula because the formula doesn't explicitly get us the period. We had to plug it into a formula. Okay? So these next couple. So I'll do 2 examples with you before I set you guys off on your own. So we're just going to write an equation based on a graph. Okay? So I start here, and then I kind of have this function going on. So right away, because it's that shape, we know it's going to be sine. I need the amplitude and the period in order to find the equation. Okay, so I need A and the period to solve for B. So we kind of look, so A, if you want to use the formula, A could be the max minus the min divided by 2. So the amplitude's going to be 1 because it goes up 1 and down 1. So we can kind of put that line in there. Okay, so we go up 1 and down 1. So the amplitude is 1, and then the period, okay, the period again, remember it's 2 pi over b, but I can pick out this period. So it starts to repeat after this. So we found the amplitude and period. It was one of the first things we did. We had a Delta Math homework assignment with it. So we found the period and the amplitude first. So we're just doing that same thing. So this repeats right here, and that's 6 pi over 5. So that's already a fraction. So remember, I need b to plug it into my formula. So I have to solve for b. So I can cross multiply. So this gets me 10 pi equals 6 pi b. So divide by 6 pi. And then 10 over 6 reduces to 5/3 is what b is. So when I plug it into the equation, y equals 1, and then it's a sine function, and then we'll have 5/3 x. And then this one, notice it's up high, so you can kind of see where my new x is. So that's my vertical shift, and it's shifted up 3. So remember, k is the vertical shift, so it's plus 3. Okay, there's kind of a lot going on there. So let's move on to the next one. So if we look at both of these, if it kind of starts, never mind, scratch that. Okay, so if we have the shape and it's repeating and it looks like a sideways S, that's sine. But notice this one, it starts kind of up high and then I go down and come all the way back up. So we kind of find the period first, and that will tell us what it is. So this one, I start here on the y-axis, and then it doesn't start to repeat until here. Here on the y-axis, I start up here, and then I go all the way down, come up, it repeats here. And that picture is a cosine graph. So we know it's cosine. A is going to be, and I don't actually shift vertically at all. So I go up 1 and down 1. Notice this scale goes by 0.5, so A is 1. And then period is 2 pi over b, which equals right here 2 pi. We can cross multiply. So I get 2 pi equals 2 pi b divided by 2 pi. B is 1. Notice it doesn't shift vertically at all, so my final answer is y equals 1. Now it's cosine, and then just 1x. And we don't need those 1's there. y just is cosine of x. Okay, so we should probably circle our answers for these because we got a lot of stuff going on. Okay, so find your amplitude and your period to work backwards to get b, and then just check to see if it shifted up or down at all. Okay, so see if you guys can do these two on your own. All right, so for this one, I start on the y, so we can pick out the period, and then I go down, and then right here, I start to repeat. So there's a sine function, and my period, which is 2 pi over b, which equals 2 pi, because that's where it starts to repeat. If we do the amplitude, 3 minus negative 3 is 6, so right in the middle of 6 would be, if the whole thing is 6 long, that means 0 would be my vertical shift. So I go up 3 and down 3, so amplitude is 3. K is 0, so y equals 3 sine, b is 1, of 1x, or just 3 sine of x. Okay. For the second one, I start on the y, and then I follow it, and then I actually repeat right here. So that is a cosine function with the period of 4 pi. So I can put that over 1 and cross multiply this one. So 2 pi equals 4 pi b. Divide by 4 pi. And then those cancel out. This is 1/2. So b is 1/2. If we do max minus min, 2 minus negative 4 would be 6. Divided by 2 would be 3. So a is 3. So from the top I can go down 1, 2, 3, and that's my new horizontal. So if you find the amplitude using the formula, take either the top or the most, like a peak or a valley, and count 1, 2, 3, and that's going to get you your k. So k is -1 here. Okay, this one, if I started up here, I count 1, 2, 3, that puts me at 0, so k was 0. Okay, so then this is a cosine function with the amplitude of 3. So 3 cosine, and then b, which is 1/2 x, and then -1 outside the parentheses, because that's my case. So the final answer here is 3 cosine 1/2 x minus 1. Okay? So please make sure you guys are reaching out if you need any questions. I can set up personal Zoom meetings if you need that. But just make sure you guys are advocating for yourselves for this. And that's it. Have a great day.